how to bring Kenyans together. Even though it came as a result of a situation that was uncomfortable for many people. But they say in every cloud, there's a silver lining. And in every challenge, there is an opportunity. It depends on where you focus. Either you focus on the challenge or you focus on the opportunity. The opportunity we have today is the opportunity to unite the people of Kenya. And I must say that I am very proud of this moment, that we as the people of Kenya, from all communities, all regions, including political formations, without compromising our democracy, we can have a sense of feeling that we all belong to an administration, and we can all focus on that which unites us and gives us an opportunity to make progress than the things which divide us. And so I have come to this region from Migori to engage on many aspects. As you know, this lake region is a region that has tremendous opportunity. In my plan, the blue economy, which contributes about 20 billion shillings every year, it is my intention to raise the contribution of our blue economy from 20 billion to 100 billion. And for us to do that, we need to do a couple of things. Number one, we need to build blue economy infrastructure. As you're all aware, we are investing 1.5 billion shillings in building 10 fish landing sites in Lake Victoria. From Busia, through Siaya, here in Kisumu, in Homa Bay, all the way to Migori. In fact, yesterday, when I met the leadership of Migori, they were asking me when the Muhuru fish landing site is going to begin, the construction is going to begin. And the Got Achola is going to begin. Both of them in Migori. And I remember telling the leaders there when we met last evening that the ministry responsible is undertaking public participation, and in the next 2 months or so, and I think the PS for Blue Economy is here, she can confirm, in the next 2 months or so, the construction of those facilities will join the others that we have already constructed. I know the one for Sori has already been completed. I know some of the ones in Kisumu have been completed because we want to build infrastructure. That's number one. Number two, we need to deal with the challenge of fingerlings and the fish stock in our waters. And we need to replenish, because the more we fish, the fewer the stocks are. It is the reason why I came to Kabonyo here. And we have a project of 1 billion shillings to have a major fish program here that will help us develop at least 7 million fingerlings, PS, 7 million fingerlings per quarter. High quality fingerlings, both for our farmers and also for us to restock Lake Victoria. The other item is fish feed. I think there is also a challenge there where we are looking at the cost, and many of the people involved in that space have been telling us the fish feed is a bit expensive. So we are working with companies to see how we can reduce the cost of fish feed so that we can encourage more farmers to do fish farming. Number 3 is to discourage exports. When I came here, the last time I was here, many people in Kisumu were selling fish from China and other places. And I said then that we cannot continue in that trajectory. It's the reason why last year we banned the imports of fish from other countries and instead encourage our own local production and fishing of fish in Kenya. A few people made noise at me that why was I banning fish from other countries. It is the right thing to do because we can develop our own food in Kenya. The fourth issue we are doing in that space is also to develop the human capital that will help us grow our capacity, both for fishing, fish farming, and everything else, the ecosystem around fishing. I'm very happy that tomorrow I will be opening the Kenya Marine School here in Kisumu. That is going to help us train more people in the fishing ecosystem, coxswains, and everything around fishing, how we are going to go ahead with our business in fishing. And the fifth thing that I think is important for us to unlock the potential of our blue economy. How do we move our blue economy from its contribution of 20 billion to 100 billion? The fifth issue is to make sure that we reduce on the people we lose in the lake. As you are aware, we lose close to 5,000 people in Lake Victoria every year because of the kind of gears they are using, the boats they are using, the capsizing that takes place. Again, tomorrow, as a region, as an East African region, we are going to be launching tomorrow a rescue center that will have all the necessary facilities, including further down the road, a chopper that can be used to rescue people who have accidents, who have accidents in Lake Victoria. If we make fishing safe, we can encourage more people to do fishing. And there are other interventions that we are working on as a government to make sure that as we focus on how to unlock the potential in fishing, we are building the necessary infrastructure, human capital support for us to drive that, because it is important not just for our economy, it is also important for our food security. As you know, we're importing many things and things we can be growing in Kenya, among them fish. Let me say two more things so that I don't monopolize this town hall. The other thing that I am focused on, and it's part of why I came here, is the irrigation potential in this region and the opportunity that we have for rice production, sugarcane production, palm oil production, and many of the other oil crops production in this region. Yesterday, I was in Kuja. You know that project has stalled for the last 7 years, and it was over a small thing. We've managed to sort it out, and yesterday we started phase 2 of Kuja. Kuja phase 1 had close to 7,000 acres. We are now moving phase 2, which is going to give us 12,000 acres of irrigable land, and farmers are going to produce more rice, more sugarcane, and more oil crops. Again, that program needs to be expanded in Homa Bay. We need to look at the opportunities we have here in Kisumu. We need to look at the opportunities we have in Siaya. I had an engagement last evening with the leadership from Siaya, and we have agreed on a program on how we are going to do this. I will also, yesterday, be commissioning a rice mill here in Kibos that was built by Lake Basin as part of building the infrastructure to support our rice farming. Because as you know, we spend 500 billion shillings every year to import food into Kenya. We import rice, we import sugar, we import maize, we are importing edible oil, and these are crops that we can grow. These are produce that we can grow here in Kenya, and we need necessary support for us to get our farmers producing. I know sometimes people think it is easier to subsidize consumption. It is my belief, firm belief, that the way to food security in Kenya is supporting production. And that is what I will do. It is the reason why we must also sort out the issues of sugar in this region. And as I gave you my commitment, it is only that there are mischievous people who have taken us to court. Otherwise, we would have sorted out the issues in Chemelil, in Muhoroni, because we must get a new model to unlock the potential of all our sugar mills, all the way from Sony Sugar, Muhoroni, Chemelil, all the way to Nzoia in Bungoma. But I want to give you my commitment that we have now the template on how to do it. Hopefully we manage to get the matters out of court in the next 1 or 2 months, and then we will be on the way to sorting out those issues. You're also aware that we have had, I think, a 20-year tussle over Miwani. But finally, we're going to resolve it this year. We have done everything else that was required so that we can sort it out and focus on the production of sugar in Kenya, because we are importing, we are spending our foreign exchange importing products that we can actually grow here in Kenya. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to engage with you this evening. I do not want to say more than that. Let me stop there. I know it was the wish of the people of Kisumu to engage with me so that I can take questions directly from you and you can get answers directly from me. Okay. I will take the first question. Maybe I start here. Nani yako na maswali? Kama hauna maswali ni sawa. Yes, somebody here has if you can favor me with your name.
Your Excellency, my name is Evans Ongati. I have 2 questions. One, as we all know that in your better agenda, housing is one of your key priorities. And as it stands now, you are at 2 million units that you want to achieve. And at the moment, your government promised that you'll be doing around 200,000 units per annum. I would wish to know that so far, we are in the second, third year. How far are we in that regard? That is number 1. Number 2, my concern is on what we call manufacturing sector. We know that manufacturing sector contributes around 8.4% of the national GDP. And here in Kisumu or Nyanza region, we had a manufacturing farm at Kikomi that has since collapsed for a long time. What is your government going to do to ensure that manufacturing sector is revived in the entire Nyanza and more specifically in Kisumu, just to cushion us on the issues of employment and what we call agricultural aspects that will ensure that we have food security taken care of within Nyanza region. I thank you, sir.
Very much. Let me take a question from this row here. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much, His Excellency. Karibu sana Kisumu. Yeah, my name is Dr. Ojijo from Maseno. How does your government plan to address the current challenges that the current new university funding models possess for both lecturers and students, particularly in terms of adequate compensation for academic staffs and salaries and job positions and affordable access to quality of education? Where are we now and why now, Mr. President? I know the question has been asked and you've been answering it severally, but I'm concerned as a lecturer and as a parent, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll take a question from this end.
Thank you very much. My name is Dick Osala. I'm going to ask you a question that relates to development, specifically our roads here in Kisumu. There are several roads that have stalled and we do not know why. I wish you were transacting this area using roads so that you are able to see the condition of the roads. I know tomorrow you'll be in Siaya. Kindly use the Luanda Siaya Highway so that you see what you're talking about. What plan do you have for the roads in Siaya? And finally, Mr. President, 2 weeks ago you unveiled your cabinet. I did not see any minister who is below 30 years of age or whose worth is maybe 10,000. All people that were there were 400 million and above. Your Honor, if you don't have someone who is worth 10,000, I am here, Your Honor. I'm very intelligent. I can take that one.
Thank you very much, Dick. Yes.
Hello. Thank you very much, Mr. President. My name is Catherine Achieng Ouma. I am a trader at the CBD and at the same time a politician. I want to ask you a political question. Today we are here as different parties and we have welcomed you very well and you've seen it in most areas of this region. And today we can coexist peacefully, UDA and even Azimio. My question is, will you collaborate with Baba in 2027? My second question, as the traders at the CBD concerning the shipyard area, His Excellency, when the shipyard was being made, thousands of businesses were destroyed. Today, at this moment in time, if you walk around Akambalene, it is a dead town and it is posing a security threat. Our question, can your government do a walling in that area and restore the 24-hour economy that was happening in that area? Thank you very much.
Take a question from here.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. My name is Sospita Ubungo-Wich. I'm the famous president of the Sufuria Revolution movement. You remember during the anti-government demonstrations about the Finance Bill 2023-2024, it is me who was putting the Sufuria on my head, who you are complaining about. Today, I'm very glad, Mr. President, that we are welcoming you here in Kisumu and feel most welcome. We love you. You are our brother, and we will always support you. Iler Kakapamba. Mr. President, my question is political. We suffered the last 2 years because your deputy was telling us the government was for shareholders. With broad-based government, do you still appease the shareholders? 2, Mr. President, as young people, during the demonstrations in 2020, during the demonstrations that was touching on the finance bill 2023-2024 and 2024-2025, most youths died during that process. Quite a number have been abducted and their families can still not trace them. Quite a number are still suffering out of the injuries that they got through the police brutality. My question is this: what is your plan? Do you have any form of compensation to the families that suffered during the demonstrations? Because as the president of the Kenya Bunge la Wananchi Caucus, the leadership that are the face that represent the young people, we have always been talking very categorically, and we are saying that we want your government to see to it that the young people that suffered during the demonstrations are well taken care of, and that is our request as young people. And lastly, as I finish, Your Excellency, we want to thank you very much for embracing broad-based government and for agreeing to work together with our party leader, His Excellency Raila Amolo Odinga, and supporting his bid for AUC. That we are saying that we are very happy about that. On the side of the broad-based, we are happy that you considered our people, though the Luos did not vote for you, but you considered our people and gave them very important positions in your government. Here in Kisumu, kindly consider us because we don't have anything good as people of Kisumu. And on the Bunge la Wananchi, kindly consider the Bunge la Wananchi because we also suffer and we also exist in part of the struggle. Your Excellency, I'm jobless. Consider me. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you very much, Sospita. Let me start with Evans. Evans has asked me about housing. Housing is a very important project, as we all know. In fact, the argument I normally put across is that on this one subject of housing, we should all be united, because the housing program was in the Azimio manifesto. It was on the Kenya Kwanza manifesto. I find it strange that there are people who want to oppose it for the sake of opposing. But I am happy that this program is now underway in many parts of the Republic of Kenya. In fact, among the things that I will be doing here in Kisumu on Saturday is to launch the 2,000 houses that we are building in, what's the name of that place? Lumumba, in Lumumba Estate here. And we are currently, just to give Evans the statistics, we are currently building 108,000. We have 40,000 in the pipeline. We have already an extended, in terms of trying to find land to construct, another 200,000. This is a program that, as you know, Evans, is started onto a lot of challenge. We've been taken to court so many times. It has been stopped here, stopped there, because there are people who cannot see the value of housing. Housing does 4 things for us. Number 1, housing gives us jobs. As I talk to you now, right from Lumumba here and across Kenya, we have 160,000 Kenyans working in the housing plan. Kenyans who were not working before we started this housing program. So it is a place where we will create jobs. And those jobs will keep increasing as we go step by step. For the next 20 years, we will be creating jobs from this housing plan. Number two, it gives us an opportunity to dignify Kenyans with dwellings that are decent. Today, we have 7 million Kenyans who live in slums in our towns, in very undignified, with no toilets, no running water, no electricity, no roads, people living in squalor. And let me tell you, and as I tell the rest of Kenya, the National Housing Corporation, the housing law in Kenya was passed the same time it was passed in Singapore. Today, in Singapore, 95% of Singaporeans own a home. The opposite is that in Kenya, we have 7 million people living in slums because we didn't want to do the right thing about it. We are now starting to do the right thing. And you know, this is what Singapore did for them to change the fortunes of their country. Number three, it helps us to reduce land fragmentation. I overflew yesterday. I was with the governor of Migori yesterday. And we could see clearly that the amount of settlements in Migori County, in Homa Bay County, unless we do something about it, we will shortly have no land to do our agriculture, because the amount of land fragmentation that is going on is alarming. And therefore, this program is going to slow and possibly reverse the whole subject of land fragmentation in Kenya. So, and of course, it will stimulate our economy. We will not only create jobs, we will expand our manufacturing, those manufacturing doors, those manufacturing windows, those manufacturing hinges, the manufacturing around steel, the manufacturing around timber, and the whole space of cement, traders, transporters. Many people will be in that ecosystem. So that is what we are doing in housing, Evans. Number two, you have asked me about another very important subject, manufacturing. It is the reason why in the last finance bill, we had actually said anything that we can manufacture in Kenya, let us not import. You know, we're just destroying our own country. Because if we become a supermarket for other countries, how will we create jobs locally? It is the reason we are investing more money in cotton. You've just said, given a good example of Kikomi. Kikomi collapsed because all of us went to import mitumba, and so there was no place to sell anything that we are producing locally. So that is a space we must work on. It is the reason why we need, as Kenyans, be bold enough to say the things we can produce in Kenya, let us not import. Let us have duty on things that we can produce in Kenya. Let me give you one example, Evans. In 2023-2024 finance bill, we put a 17.5% levy on importation of clinker and steel billets. Do you know what happened? We reduced the importation of clinker by 95%. And 11 companies that had closed down have come back to production. And 16,000 Kenyans got jobs. On just one subject, on steel. 11 companies of steel that had closed down came back because they could now make money producing steel locally. So there is value in us using some of our tax measures to promote our own manufacturing. Because I went to open, let me give you another example. I went to open a cement factory in West Pokot. A good Kenyan had invested 45 billion in a cement manufacturing plant in West Pokot, employing 2,500 Kenyans and another almost 3,000 drivers, conductors, and many other things. Now, that factory is not just hiring Kenyans. We have now reduced, as I told you, importation of cement or clinker by 95%. And do you know what is this clinker we are importing? And do you know how much money we saved? We saved 100 billion shillings of imports of clinker. And let me tell you, clinker is just stones. You know, we have our own stones here, limestone. All you need to do is to go and burn it to 100,000 degrees, and then it becomes clinker. Explain to me, the great people of the great city of Kisumu, why should we go and import stones from other countries and pay 100 billion when we can choma our own stones here and create the clinker that we are looking for? Does it make sense? Sini ujinga? Ama mnaonaje? So really, and you know, these are the kind of decisions we have to make. And you know the good news, I'm very happy. The good news is that the companies who were complaining to us about the duty we had put for importation, in 1 year, they came back and said, you guys, you did the right thing, don't remove that duty. Because they were now investing in manufacturing. So I want to promise you, Evans, as I do, Kenyans, we will continue to make the decisions that will encourage our own local manufacturing, as opposed to us being a supermarket for importation of products from other countries. We export our jobs, we export our foreign exchange, and we export our opportunities, even to create wealth. It is better when we are having companies in Kenya that are creating wealth, because that is Kenyan wealth. Ojijo, my good friend from the university, is asking me about the university funding model. Let me tell you that the university funding model is something that I am very clear about. It is time. You remember, in fact, I was with your Vice Chancellor. Your Vice Chancellor, by the way, supports the new funding model because he runs the university and he knows the challenges of running university without money. You know? And it is because the old model bankrupted our universities. When I came into office, the first thing that came on my table is that 23 universities out of 40 public universities, 23 of them were bankrupt, technically insolvent, because they had debts from here, I don't know to where. And not small debts. We owed 51 billion shillings to private universities and 137 billion shillings to public universities, because we didn't make the right decisions. Now we decided that we are going to have a model that is student-centered. We know this student is going to do medicine. We know how much medicine costs. We must then fund that student to do medicine to the full. We know this student is doing education. We must fund that student for that course to be achieved. But if you have a student doing medicine, it requires 600,000, and you give him 200,000, you will end up with a half-baked student. And by the way, Bwana Ochijo, do you know that we are in the second year of implementation of this? And the first year was phenomenal. If you ask any vice chancellor, anybody who is running an university, they are telling you this model is way superior. And in fact, in 4 years, it is my plan that every university will be able to run its affairs without the challenges they have today. And they can pay lecturers, they can pay their suppliers, because today, when last year, many universities, in fact, they said in the meeting we had in Nairobi, many universities have never paid full salary. because we weren't giving them enough money. It is the reason why I have put more money in university education. In fact, I have put 127 billion shillings more to education because I believe we must get education right. If we don't get education right, we will get nothing right in Kenya. We must make sure that we get it right. It is also the reason why I have hired 56,000 teachers in the last 1 year. Last year, we hired 56,000 teachers. It is because education is important. It is also the reason why, end of this year, we will hire another 20,000 teachers. Because education is what makes us equal. And if we don't get education right, we will get very few things right. It is very important that I can explain to you in greater detail the university funding model, but I think to a great extent there is a consensus that we have a funding model now, student-centered, that will help us transition from the difficulties our education system, especially at the university, have had into the future. And I am very confident that we will get the relevant understanding between parents and students and lecturers and university management for us to move into the future. I am happy, Bwana Ojijo, I am happy if you have some suggestions to improve on that model. We are open because we want a good idea that we have to give way to a better idea if you have. So we are ready to engage. Bwana Dick pale ameniuliza mambo ya barabara. It's a very important subject, Bwana Dick. And I agree with you, we have many stalled roads. I want to tell you that we weren't very measured in the way we gave out contracts, because we now have roads that are in the region of 900 billion that we have issued. We have 150 billion shillings that are already outstanding, work done and not paid. So that is something that is eating my head. And I have tried to work out a mechanism. We have in the budget 56 billion shillings this year. I managed to get about 40 billion shillings from China. I am working with other development partners on how we are going to turn around this road thing. I was yesterday and today, I was in this region to unlock some of the roads that were stalled. And I want to give you my commitment that all those roads that were stalled, we are not going to start any new roads until we complete the ones that we have already, that are already stalled. Many people want to push me to say, why don't you start new roads that will have your signature? I'm not interested in having my own signature. I'm interested in building the roads that are already there, because they are Kenyan roads irrespective of who started them. That will be my trajectory. Catherine Ochieng has said, I talked about 2027. She said she's a politician, and that's very good. I am also one. And she said she's asking me, what is going to happen in 2027? I want to tell Catherine, I am more concerned about what is happening or what will happen to our next generation. 2027 will sort itself out. I want to tell you that the mistake sometimes we make as politicians is always to focus at the next general election. Of course, the next general election is important. But I want to tell you that if we are consumed merely focusing about the next general election, we will never make the right decisions. We must be bold enough to make the right decisions, because sometimes the right decisions are not very popular. And you know, when the right decisions are not popular, you are forced to make the wrong decisions merely because you are concerned about the next election. And that is how we have never made the decisions to change our country. By the way, I intend to make the difficult decision to change Kenya. That is my focus. Even the forming of the broad-based government, many people did not expect me to do that. But I did it because I know for us to be able to implement the most critical decisions that will change Kenya, we need a broader political formation. It is important that we sacrifice some space for us to have a broader foundation, for us to be able to do the heavy lifting that will make Kenya progress. I am very clear that 2027 is going to sort itself out. Just watch this space. On the shipyard, I don't have a direct answer on what to do with the shipyard. I have taken the information you have told me. I will have a conversation with the county government so that we know exactly what to do around the shipyard. I do not have the real information now as to what actually became of the 24-hour economy around the shipyard. I know for a fact that the shipyard is an important component of the development of Kisumu as a town, but that should not compromise on the incomes of Kenyans who are benefiting from the space around there. So that is homework for me, Catherine. I hope you don't mind. I can go and do some homework. Yeah? Sawa sawa. And then Sospita. Are you a shareholder? Let me tell you, Sospita, that we all agreed, yeah, that we are all shareholders of this country, each and every one of us. Every Kenyan has a right. Every taxpayer has a right. And I want to promise you that we have agreed, all of us, that we must get rid of the politics of ethnicity, the politics of exclusion, the politics that creates divisions amongst us. And that is why I took the earliest opportunity to create a broad-based government, because I believe in the unity of Kenya. And I believe every Kenyan, whether they voted for me or did not vote for me, not only deserves development, but they can also get a position in my government. If it was strictly the people who voted for me, you know, the situation would be different. So I just want to give you assurance. You need to relax. There will be no exclusion on account of how you voted. We're going to move together as a country. On the people who demonstrated, you have told me that there are people who were abducted. My good friend Sospita, I made a commitment to the people of Kenya, and I want to look you in the face, that under my administration, I do not want a situation where a Kenyan disappears. There were days when people were found 20, 30 in the Vayala here, executed. I want to promise you and to promise the people of Kenya that under my administration, there will be no Kenyans in Rivayala or any other river or in any other place. If, my good friend Sospita, and I am here, if there is a family, any family, that their child or their friend or their relative went to a demonstration, whether it is last year or this year, and never came back, I want to know the names, because I will take firm and decisive action. Because as I talk to you today, I don't have a single name of somebody who has been abducted or disappeared. And the Minister for Interior, the PS for Interior is here, Raymond. If Sospita Kama uko na jina, mtu alienda maandamano, akapotea, hajulikani mahali yuko, tunataka jina yake, familia yake wakuje, patia huyu mungwana hiyo majina. We will deal with that situation. Because Kenyans have a right and freedom of association, right? Within the parameters of the law. And no Kenyan should be subjected to any inhuman treatment because of their political persuasion. The other subject you have said is what are we going to do with those who are injured? Again, we are developing a framework because I made a commitment to the people of Kenya that we are going to consider those who went through, especially the people who died in the demonstrations, how we are going to support their families to make sure that these people are attended to. Again, we are working, the Ministry of Interior is working. I assembled the cabinet the other day. They are working on the numbers, and we will see how we are going to work together on that program. Yeah, I think those are the questions that were asked. I will take another round of questions. I will start now from here. Yes, there is a lady there.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Beatrice Amondi, founder of Jomanadada Foundation, and also the current vice chairperson of the ruling party for this great county. First, I'd like to commend you for listening to the plight of Kenyans that led to the withdrawal of the finance bill. Secondly, on Tuesday, the ambassador of the United States to Kenya, White Man Meg, disclosed that they have cancelled our loan, which is at 131 billion Kenyan shillings. So I'm wondering, Mr. President, what plans do you have for the finance bill?
Thank you very much, Beatrice. Can we take somebody from here? Yes, my friend.
Good evening, Mr. President, and good evening, Kenyans. My name is Vincent Kabisai. I come from somewhere called Nyalenda, Kisumu East. I have a few questions. First of all, Mr. President, allow me to ask what the government's plans for Harambee Stars when it comes to 2027 AFCON, being that some stadia are still not completed. Secondly, Mr. President, still talking about the Harambee Stars, will we be having a new coach, a local coach, or a coach, an international coach, say Mourinho? Mr. President, besides the infrastructure, which is good for national development, we have something called national discipline. The other day at Lower Kabete, I saw the engagement that you had with the county commissioners, and it was impressive. It's a step in the right direction, if at all we are to move forward as a country, because there are a lot of repeals that have been done when it comes to the national administration. So, Mr. President, let me talk about the police. You go to the police station, and nowadays some police stations have turned to become shops. You go to the police station and you are asked to pay, say, 1,000 shillings just to lodge a complaint. It is a grave concern. It is something that I've witnessed, and I think that should not happen. My suggestion is that in the very spirit of having ICT hubs, these police stations should have Wi-Fis, and they should have CCTVs. They should have CCTVs, Mr. President. I think that is also a step in the right direction. Talking about water, I know this is it is a devolved function. But water is being regulated by WASREB up there. Lake Victoria is just around the corner. And yet, the tariff that Kisumu is using has been repealed. The tariff was revised in 2002 on an incremental tariff. At the moment, for the first 6 units, you realize that Kisumu residents have to pay 83 shillings per cubic meter. For the next 14 units, that is 6 up to a consumption of 20, they have to pay 121 shillings per cubic meter. And then from 21 up to 50, they have to pay, it's incremental. Previously, Mr. President, we used to pay better rates. So the residents are asking, why should they pay so much for water, and yet Lake Victoria is just here around the corner, especially people from low-income settlements such as Nyalenda, Obunga, and Manyata?
Thank you very much.
Last but not least...
No, because we are so
okay,
many.
thank you.
Thank you very much. Let me take one more from this side.
Thank you, Mr. President. It is a great honor to stand in front of you today. I think I will be the youngest person speaking after every other speaker. I'm Omolo Victor Otieno from Maseno University. I'm a former president and I'm also University Student Organization Academic Secretary. Mr. President, I want to bring my issue in the line of teachers. Currently, we are seeing a lot of things going on in the teachers sector. Mr. President, I know teachers in here may not want to tell you, but earning as low as 17,000 shillings do not really dignify the work that they are doing, because, Mr. President, teachers are the reason as to why we are all sitting here today. Again, Mr. President, I was very keen in your speech. You mentioned that teachers have been hired, 20,000 this year and 56,000 last year. My question is, have they been confirmed that they are really working, the ones who have been hired? Mr. President, going away from the issue of teachers, as I finish, as a young person from the university students have been crying day and night about the issue of democracy in this nation. Mr. President, when we decide to promote democracy from all institutions, from all angles, we should consider universities too. The kind of electoral process that is in the university is alarming. We disregard the delegate system, and Mr. President, we request, these are a special request from the comrades of this great nation, that you may bring us back to the mass voting system, Mr. President, so that we elect leaders that we can really count in. Mr. President, thank you so much. As I am the young person, I know that you are looking for jobs for young people, the Gen Zs. I'm one of them, Mr. President. I will appreciate your chance.
Asante sana, Victor. Which way are we going?
Thank you very much for this opportunity. My name is Yvonne Awuor-Ogola. I am an advocate of the High Court of Kenya, practicing in Kisumu. Your Excellency, my question to you this evening is on the health sector. Your Excellency, as you are aware, there is a monster that has crept in. Cancer and diabetes are killing us day and night. And nowadays, diabetes is not even for only the old people, even the young people. Yesterday I was reading about a 10-year-old who died of diabetes. Your Excellency, NHIF is not helping. The medication is very expensive. What plans do you have for us so that the victims of these diseases can get quality and affordable medication?
Thank you very much, Madam Yvonne. Let's take one from here. I don't know. Maybe this gentleman here, right here in front.
Thank you, Your Excellency. My name is Richard Ogendo, Secretary General, Kenya Sugarcane Growers Association. Richard Ogendo. Two questions. As I heard you in your opening statement, as you are enumerating about the infrastructure on fishing, what I didn't hear is what we are doing to the fish farmers. Fish farmers, you're building the fishing infrastructure, the landing bays, and everything around it. And yet where we stand here, this mall is owned by Lake Basin. Less than 3 kilometers away, they have a fingerling development site. Could your government consider giving the fish farmers loans and grants so that as they wait for the Kabonyo site to be operational, then they can enjoy the facilities that Lake Basin has to offer? My second question goes to in the sugar sector. This region is known for its vibrant sugar sector. Unfortunately, over the years, this has been neglected. Your government was good enough to give us subsidized fertilizer. Then God was also good enough to give us more rains. So we produced more cane. We have ended up with a problem of surplus, which is also in rice. So in terms of policy interventions, what is your government doing to cushion farmers? That is one. That is for sugar and rice. Number three, when you were the Minister for Agriculture, you initiated the quality-based payment system, the cane testing units, which your government has spent billions on it. And every time regulations want to be put in place, there are people who run to court. Now this denies farmers their livelihoods. What is your government putting in place again in terms of policy to make sure that the regulations are published, number one, and that the CTUs, the cane testing units, begin operation immediately so that farmers, sugarcane farmers, can benefit from them? Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. All right, maybe I should start with you, my good friend Richard. You've asked me, we are doing all things around infrastructure. What are we doing for farmers? Two things, fish farmers, two things. Kabonyo, where we are investing R1 billion, is going to give farmers, fish farmers, very good quality fingerlings at a subsidized price. Is that correct, PS? Yeah? So that is what we are doing for farmers, number one. Number two, we also are working on a grant of 450 million shillings, targeting fish farmers, the BMUs and all the people in that ecosystem, to support them. The same, you've just asked about the grant. So we have a grant facility that the ministry is running, and my Minister for Blue Economy will be in this region, I think in the next week or two. I think he was here already, and we are having a conversation with the fish farmers on how they are going to access this grant. So those are the two things we are doing for fish farmers: fingerlings, and also making sure that we organize some grant for them to be able to support their fish farming activities. On what you said, you know, I had a difficulty initially. When we made subsidized fertilizer available, there were brokers in some of the sugar companies. I'm sure if you've been there long enough, you will know. They actually refused sugarcane farmers to access subsidized fertilizer from government. I'm very happy that we are beyond that challenge. And as you say, this year, we have really made progress in matters cane farming. The subsidized fertilizer and rains have given us additional production. We are not yet at the production where we can stop all the imports, but at least we've slowed down on the imports of sugar into Kenya. And the prices have also come down significantly because we can produce more. But you have made a solid point around what are we doing about surplus. Surplus is a very positive problem. I was actually, I met the chair of the rice farmers in Kuja, and he told me exactly the same thing. What are we doing to make sure that the rice farmers who I am told in just that irrigation program in Kuja, they have 800 tons that has been in their stores for the last 6 months. I instructed National Cereals and Produce Board to buy that rice and give it to our special programs for distribution to citizens who are under our ASAL and arid and semi-arid program, where we are supplying food to Kenyans around Kenya. So what we are doing, to answer your question directly, we are connecting the government program that has about 1 million Kenyans that we are giving food in different parts of the country. We are connecting that purchase to farmers so that farmers have a direct market. Because if we do not have a market for farmers, then we will end up with a problem. We will discourage farmers from producing. So I gave assurance to the farmers in Kuja, as I give assurance to others, that we are going to make sure that there is a market infrastructure program that will support farmers so that as they produce, they don't go into losses. On what you have said about cane testing, the cane testing units, it is true. We agreed that we must pay farmers on sugar content, not on the weight of everything that they carry to the place. But you know that there are characters who have gone to court. They've stalled that process for a very long time. But in the new program that we are rolling out, the one again that is in court, I don't know, we have a problem in court. When we unlock it from court, we will make sure that this time program, when we have a leasing program, we will make sure that we capture all the elements so that it becomes much more easy for us to implement payment on sugar content as opposed to just the weight of the sugar you have carried to the milling company. Yvonne Owor has asked me about cancer and diabetes and the chronic illnesses. And it is true, Yvonne, that even children of 10 years nowadays can suffer from high blood pressure, they can suffer from diabetes. In fact, I have an experience myself of children who are below 15 who are diabetic. So it is a situation that is real in Kenya today. And you have said correctly that NHIF is inadequate. The reality is that we have to transition. I am very clear in my mind that we need a different health infrastructure. It is the reason why we have changed the law on delivery of health. Parliament has now passed 4 different pieces of legislation that will help us achieve 3 things. Number 1, we want to make sure that level 1, level 2 facilities have adequate medicine and adequate personnel. Number 2, we want to make sure that as opposed to NHIF, which catered largely for people who had a pay slip, we're going to have the Social Health Insurance Fund. This time round, that fund, it doesn't matter whether you have a job or you have no job. The Social Health Insurance Fund will register every Kenyan. And we will make sure that those who can afford will pay, and those who do not afford, the government of Kenya will pay for them, so that everybody has a health insurance cover. And then number 3, because I told you 3 things. Number 3, we are now going to have, under the new law, we have a chronic illness fund that will take care of diabetes, hypertension, and all the other chronic diseases. And this fund will be accessed by everybody, every Kenyan, irrespective of your financial status. And this fund is contributed by all of us as Kenya, and government of Kenya will top up if there are any gaps. So, for the first time in the history of Kenya, people who suffer from cancer, people who suffer from diabetes, people who suffer from hypertension, who today cannot go to hospital, because if you go to hospital, you will get a bill of 1 million, 2 million shillings, 3 million shillings. You sell your house, you sell your furniture, you sell your livestock, you sell everything you have, and you end up in poverty. For the first time, we will have a dedicated fund about chronic illnesses that will be accessed by every Kenyan. That is the new model that we are rolling out as a country. You asked me, what are we doing about it? Bwana Victor, Bwana Omolo, it is true that we have interns as teachers. And let me explain why we decided to go the route of interns. We have a very serious problem of shortage of teachers. In fact, our shortage is in the region of 140,000 teachers. That is the shortage we have in our schools. In fact, yesterday I was in a school in, I don't remember the name of the school. I don't know who. We had a school there. The MP for Nyatike was telling me there was a school, not Agenga, the other school there. He told me there were 200 students with one teacher from government. You know, that's how serious the whole thing is. So what did I do? I looked at the numbers and I said, we have 300,000 teachers out there, trained. In fact, some of them are about to go to retire before they get a job. Some of them are teaching in some school, they are paid 5,000 shillings. Yeah? So what did I do? I decided, I said, we have a big shortage of teachers, we have a big pool of trained teachers, and we have schools that have no teachers. If I had decided to hire permanent and pensionable, I would have hired maybe 12,000 or 13,000. So I decided, let me take this big pool of teachers who are unemployed. Let me hire them as interns. I will have sorted out two problems. I will have somebody who was earning nothing or 5,000, now earning 25,000. And I will have a student who has no teacher, at least there will be a teacher in class. With one guarantee that after 2 years of internship, you will get a permanent and pensionable job. Now, the good news, Bwana Victor, is that all the 46,000 teachers that were interns, I am going to confirm them in the next 2 months. The process, we have given the money for their confirmation. Now Teacher Service Commission is working on the process to confirm all of them. And I want to thank them because they have done a wonderful job. In fact, our education numbers has improved because of the JSS teachers. They have really done a good job. If there are any JSS teachers in this room, congratulations, you guys are solid patriots of the Republic of Kenya. And the whole, and all of them. My assurance to you is that we have provided the resources for all of you to be confirmed. I will get an additional 20,000 interns. I will confirm them further down the road as we make progress. Of course, you know, Victor, that there was a little challenge. Some of the unions wanted to incite teachers to go on a strike on a matter that we have already sorted, because the collective bargaining agreement that was negotiated between TSC and the teachers, we have already provided money. In fact, I think by today or tomorrow, every teacher will have their salaries, they will have all their arrears paid for in accordance with the CBA that was signed. So there is absolutely no justification for anybody to tell teachers to go on strike. And I must single out NAT for being understanding and agreeing that once we have sorted out a problem, there is no need for posturing. We need to get down to teaching our children and moving forward as a country. Vincent Kapisai, he says, you came from Nyalenda. That gentleman from that corner, Santa Sana. Vincent, plans for Harambee Stars. First, we were privileged to host AFCON together with our East African countries, Uganda and Tanzania. And we are rolling out the infrastructure. The people from AFCON were here. They have confirmed. We have extensive works going on in Kasarani, Moi Stadium. We have extensive works going on in Nyayo National Stadium. We have extensive works underway in Jamhuri, the new 60-seater stadium right there in Jamhuri in Nairobi. All those are on course. We will deliver the stadium that will be used either for the kickoff or the finals in Jamhuri. We will deliver it a year ahead of schedule, or a year ahead of 2027. We want to deliver it by 2026. So, in fact, we're trying to see whether we can do it by December next year. So, it's all systems go for us hosting the game, the AFCON, both in Kenya, Tanzania, and Uganda. As for Harambee Stars, because the game will be right here at home, we are preparing Harambee Stars. We are going out of our way to make sure that every bit of necessary support is given to Harambee Stars. I cannot give you details on whether the coach will be Kenyan, whether it will be Mourinho or whoever. You have some nice suggestions on who you think that should be. But I think that is a conversation that is going on at the ministry. One thing I want to assure you is that we will give our Harambee Stars the best support that we can muster as Kenyans. And I want to encourage all of us as lovers of football that we give them moral support as well, and support them so that they can put up a good show in AFCON. As to corruption in police and the rent-seeking in police stations, you're right. We have decided that we are going to digitize all police stations and even make sure that, and I want Raymond, do you want to say something about that particular issue?
Your Excellency, there's a program on the plan to do the digitization. First, of course, we were piloting the OB, the occurrence book, so that we're able to keep track of what is going on. But then there's also the broader police modernization program that we are running that includes equipping and also improving the facilities that they have. There's a proposal that the gentleman has on the CCTVs. I think even in the major cities as it is in Nairobi and Mombasa, we already have that going on to help the police man the streets, but also for accountability on the part of the police. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As you have heard, we already have a whole program around, first, the famous OB, occurrence book, where when you arrive at the police station, that is where your report is entered. We want to make sure that that is digital, so that we can, from every place, we can know what is happening where, and reports don't disappear, or pages of the OP don't disappear. So that is, but you have a solid suggestion on making sure that we digitize that phase and deal with the matter of corruption. It is true that there is serious, both impunity, and this is something we must deal with as Kenyans. And you see, it is also important for us to say there are people who actually actively induce policemen with money. I think it is time, even us as Kenyans, we stopped the culture of bribing policemen. You know, because sometimes policemen cannot resist the offers that are being made and advances on them. So this corruption thing, we must deal with it from all angles. We must make sure that we take action on the police that ask for the money, and Kenyans who give money must also be told they are part of the problem. And I don't know who is going to tell them. You know, we need to tell ourselves as a people to stop that culture. And then you have talked about water. I may not be competent to answer about the water in Kisumu County and the payments and how much it costs. But broadly, what I can tell you is that we have a program on delivering additional water. We just succeeded in delivering additional 140 billion liters of water to Nairobi County, a program that has been on the works for the last almost 8 years. That program has now been delivered. It is also my intention, and yesterday we had a conversation with the county of Kisumu. We have a big dam here called Koru Soin Dam, which is part of the infrastructure we want to use to deliver water that will assist in making sure that we have additional water in this great city and the environs. So the big plan is to supply as much water as possible. That way, when we have enough water, it becomes easy to moderate the costs of water. So on my end, I want to just commit to you that my plan is to increase the water supply, work with the counties, and then we need also to have a conversation with the counties, because now we have a whole concept of public participation where all of us can engage government at all levels on matters that are of concern to citizens. Let me finally speak to Beatrice. And Beatrice has said, what are we going to do about the finance bill? You know, the finance bill is something we must think about as Kenyans, all of us. There were many issues in that finance bill that were very positive for our country. And we are having conversations with different partners. We are having different conversations with different partners. Of course, when we lost the finance bill, we lost close to 340 billion of the money that we would have raised using the finance bill. I now have a new minister, John Mbadi, who is a seasoned accountant and somebody who has clarity on where we want to go. And I have already given him the assignment to look at the best way we can get ourselves out of this. He is working with the Treasury team. They have given me the initial proposal, and I am very confident that we can turn things around once we consolidate our position and then engage the stakeholders in that space and even get ourselves having a conversation with our members of parliament so that we can decide as a country how we move forward. Because the current situation is not tenable. We have to find the resources to deal with the issues. We have roads that many people here agree are stalled. We have water projects that we have to deal with. We have teachers that we have to pay. We have the whole array of requirements of public, including what my sister Yvonne said about matters health that we have to deal with. And all those require resources. So we are going to be innovative on how we are going to look for those resources, and my team at Treasury are working around the clock on it. Now, I am reliably told that we have another 20 minutes of time. So maybe I will take one final round of questions. Maybe that gentleman looks like he has a burning question. Huyo mungwana pale.
Thank you, His Excellency, Mr. President. My name is Olebo, Kalebo Winongar, and I'm a resident of Kisumu and also a politician. And mostly, I'm a sports icon, having played rugby for Kisumu RFC and Kisumu and Ulinzi Football Club. My question is on sports. Kisumu used to be the hotbed of sports. And when we were growing up, we had very, very good sports people here. And since time, it has died. And people have become disillusioned. And because sports is one of the means of employment of our people. During our time, when we were in sports, very many people got the opportunity to go abroad and play in Australia, in USA, in all those places, in India. We had hockey, we had volleyball, we had basketball, very brilliant players. Nowadays, it's dying. So I don't know what the government will do to revive sports and give us employment. Another question is about our infrastructure. Indeed, infrastructure, when I talk about infrastructure, I'll talk about roads, I'll talk about water, and I'll talk about electricity. We have here, even in Riyadh here, we don't have roads, we don't have water, we don't have electricity. And even in my home area, Karachuonyo, I don't have a road, I don't have water, I don't have electricity. What are you going to do about that? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Caleb. Let me just deal with Caleb first so that I can move here. Bwana Caleb, on sports, you're right that our sports is not in the place where it should be. What are we doing? The first thing I did last year is that I gave instructions that the sports fund, which had been cannibalized and made to support other things. In fact, the sports fund, only 40% of the money was going to sports. 60% was going to other things. So last year, I changed the policy and I said the sports fund must only support 100% matters sports. That's number one, in order to raise resources for our sports. Number two, you have said, what are we doing about sports? Now we have resources. And in fact, I was reading today, there was an issue in Parliament where Parliament was concerned about our sports academies. For us to be able to raise the quality of our sports, because it's becoming scientific and it is becoming competitive, we have to have sports infrastructure. And it is the reason why we are now investing in sports academies, so that in every part of Kenya, we have a sports academy where we can do more training, we can have more facilities for us to be able to grow the talent that we have. Kenya is a sporting nation, and we all know that we are a sports giant in the world, actually. In fact, the good news, like in the last Paris situation, we were number one in Africa. So it is true, we have sports talent in Kenya. And that is why, number one, I changed the policy on sports fund. And number two, we are now in the program of developing sports academies for us to be able to grow our sports talent, whether it is in football, whether it is in athletics, whether it is in all the other fields. You have also said correctly that roads, water, electricity. I have some good news for you on matters electricity. I was in, you say you come from Karachuonyo. I was in Homa Bay today, and I have asked the ministry responsible for energy. We have negotiated a good program. Now we have a plan on deploying electricity. In your county, we have 1.56 billion shillings to connect 17,000 people to electricity, households in your county. I hope you become one of them, so that at least we sort out one problem. I will make sure that I will tell your member of parliament to make sure that you are one of them. We have desegregated into every constituency. On matters to do with water, again, my good friend Caleb, I was on the program of water today, again in your county. I was in Oyugis, because in Oyugis we put up a water project there for about 700 million. Today I was there to add them another 200 million so that we can actually deliver water to home states. It is going to happen in Oyugis. It is going to happen in Kendu Bay. I have also a program of 450 million in Homa Bay town, and hopefully I should be able to have a program for Karachuonyo. On the roads, again, today I was in Homa Bay. Let me use your county. Is that correct? Homa Bay is your county? Yes. I was in Homa Bay, and we managed to get resources. You remember that road from Kadel to Karabur to Kanyathiang? That road now we have money to build it. And your short member of parliament knows what. That short man, he's been on my case. You know, we now have money for it. Again, we have money now to do the Sindo all the way to Sori. We also from the one that comes from Homa Bay to Mbita all the way to through Sindo all the way to Sori. That road, we have agreed that we are also going to complete that road. And also, we have a couple of other roads that were started, they stalled, but we are looking for resources on how to take them forward. So we won't be able to do everything in one go, but at least we have a plan on how to progressively complete some of those roads. Let me take a question from here. Anybody? I don't know. Maybe this fellow in a Kanzu or something.
Thank you, Mr. Rais.
Okay. We're gonna mtu hapo wako na.
Mr. Rais, nashukuru sana kupata hii fursa. At least mimi pia leo niongea na rais wa nchi ya Kenya. Mr. Rais, kwa majina naitwa Evans Lugairi, alias Jibril Mesaya. Mimi ni conductor ama donda ukipenda. Mr. Rais, wakati ulikuwa unaanza kuongea, kuna kitu uliongea kuhusu food security. Hapa kwa food security, mimi na madonda wangu wenzangu kadhaa tulichukuana tukasema tunataka tufanye kitu inaitwa urban farming. But hii urban farming tulikuwa tunataka tufuge hata kuku kiasi, mbuzi hivi, sababu si hatuko hapa town, hatuna ile shamba kubwa unaweza fanya, but hizi urban farming kasukuma kingine unaweza uzia kwa hoteli mayai na. Sasa shida Mr. Rais, hapa kwa urban farming tunakosa grants ama funds za kutu unlock. Thank to Safaricom, jana walinitumia message wakaniambia sijui digital farming, wakaniuliza kitu unafamia, nikamwambia pia kwa mtaa yangu Kajulu pale niko na shamba na napanda avocado kitu kama half an hectare. But hapo kwa funds nikitaka ku-opt in nipata hata loan, hawana hiyo option. Alafu Mr. Rais, my second question ilikuwa about religion. As we all know that government inaenda hand in hand religion. Ilikuwa sad kwangu kuona watu Shakahola na kufa ile kishenzi. But Mr. Rais, hii kitu bado inaendelea. Nimekuwa nikitembea chuo mzingine hapa ndani. Unapata watu bado wanaabudu kwa msituni nini. Alafu shida iko sana ghetto, mtazi tunatoka. Unapata makanisa ni mingi kuliko shule na hospitali. Sasa hawezi soma shule ni mingi kuliko hapo. Mr. Rais, hapo kwa religion kuna shida pahali. Alafu ya mwisho kabisa, Mr. Rais, mimi sikusoma, lakini ukinipatia kazi tachapa vile inafaa.
Okay. Thank you very much, Evans. Asante sana, Evans. Wacha nikujibu na Kiswahili. Umesema wewe ni donda, lakini pia wewe ni mkulima. Kwanza pongezi sana kwa kufikiria mambo ya food security, kwa sababu sote sisi lazima tushughulike na mambo ya food security. Hata kama unaniona vile mimi niko rais, pia mimi ni mkulima, kwa sababu vile wewe unafanya donda, pia wewe unataka kufanya ukulima. Lakini umesema ya kwamba ungependa tuwe na vile ya kuwasaidia kufanya hiyo urban farming, and you are very right. Hiyo urban farming inaendelea in many parts, lakini hatujakuwa na mpango kamili ya support ya urban farming. Farming is a devolved function. Sasa hiyo farming iko chini ya makaunti, lakini I will take it up. It is a challenge umenipatia kwamba tunaweza kuwa na mpango gani ili kusupport food security. Tuwe na mpango ya kusupport urban farming. It's an idea you have put in my mind. I will have a conversation with the counties. Nitakuwa na mazungumzo na counties tuone vile tunaweza kuwapatia support. Haya, hapo kwa religion pia umesema kuna ghetto, makanisa ni mingi kuliko shule na hospitali, na unasema kuna watu wengine wanaabudu kwa kichaka. Karibu kama iwe kama ya ule mtu ule wa Shakahola. Na ni kweli hiyo Shakahola ilituletea balaa, lakini vile unajua nimeshapatiwa report ya mambo ya vile tunaweza kufanya kazi na makanisa zetu na tuweze kuwa na taratibu ambayo watu wachache wasitumie dini kulete mambo ambayo inaweza kuleta maafa ama kuleta mambo ambayo yanaweza kuumiza Wakenya. So hiyo report tayari imefika kwangu na tunatengeneza sasa jopo ya kuimplement hiyo report, na tutapeleka bunge tupate endorsement ya bunge ndio tushughulikie haya mambo wewe umesema. And you are very spot on. Asante sana. One person from here.
This is Elizabeth Amondi. Yes, Mr. President, I have two questions. One is about the insecurity in Kisumu. Kisumu people are dying each and every time because of insecurity. Secondly, water area, the soy dam area, which has led to the deaths of so many people, and people have been crying each and every time. Thank you, Mr. President.
Just explain to me, you say, Elizabeth?
Koru soy dam.
Koru?
Yes.
There is a problem with?
The water area. The water in Koru soy dam, when it falls, is running down, which causes the farmers don't get the floods are.
Oh, there is too much floods.
There is too much flood that leads to no good production.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. You have talked about insecurity in Kisumu. Let me tell you two things. Most of our security agencies, the equipment they had was not in good condition. And also, the terms and service of our policemen and women were not very good. So what I did last year, I put together a task force under Maraga because we were having rampant issues. Some of our policemen and women were committing suicide because of the way, the conditions they were working in, Some of them are living in very bad situations. So we're doing three things to improve the terms of service of our policemen and women. Number one, we have now a new terms structure. Even their salaries, we have enhanced their salaries from the beginning of July this year to make sure that our policemen and women have adequate compensation for them to be able to deliver the service that they are doing to Kenyans. That's number one. Number two, we are also now putting them under the program of institutional housing so that we can build houses for policemen. Some of them live in very, very deplorable conditions. So we are working on that to make sure that. And then number three, as you heard Raymond Omolo, my PS for Interior, say, they did not have adequate equipment. So I rolled out a 20 billion shillings modernization of equipment of our policemen and women so that they can be able to deliver that critical service that they are providing for our country. That program is already underway. We have the first, I think, 30% of the equipment is already been delivered. The program is going on. We are funding it from our budget so that we can improve the quality of service that is available to our policemen and women. Again, I will take up specifically, because you have said in Kisumu, there is an issue. So Raymond, you need to get your team in Kisumu to respond to what Elizabeth is saying so that we can take care of that security. But I've just given you the broader aspects of what we are doing globally to make sure that our policemen and women are doing the job that they have in the mandate given to them. Part of the reason why you had me talk about Soin Koru Dam, which is a very important piece of infrastructure for us, it will also help reduce the flooding. That is why that dam, the construction of that dam is very important. However, the mechanism of delivery of this dam that is currently in place is inadequate. In fact, it will take a very long time for us to do this dam if we do it using the mechanism that already is there. So I have agreed with the leadership of the County of Kisumu. I had a long meeting with them yesterday with Professor Nyong'o and the leaders from Kisumu, and we agreed that we are going to change the model of construction of this Soin Koru Dam for two reasons. To stop the flooding that is destroying crops on the lower side, and number two, to make sure that we have enough water. We can harvest that water and use it for good cause and bring it to Kisumu and other areas. So that's what we are doing. One question from these good people. There is this gentleman. Yes, my friend.
Thank you, Excellency. My name is Jayesh Patel. I manufacture mattresses and water tanks. I'm an industrialist in Kisumu. The first point is basically about power. As an industrialist, there is a big problem in Kisumu. We do not have stable power. If you want more industries to come to the Kisumu County, the power must be stable. Otherwise, you cannot get investments. Now, nationally, I have 2-3 things to say. The bank interests have really gone up. Every industry in the country has borrowed funds. And today, they are really paying a heavy price for it. Similarly, the fixed deposits have also gone up. So that has made people actually put money in the bank more than rotated in the economy. And that is actually making all the money be pulled out to the banks and obviously to the government. So if this interest rate goes down, the economy will improve. Another suggestion is the PAY tax. After 32,000 Kenya shillings earned by any employee, there is a 25% tax. Now that is a lot of tax going to the government. I understand that every citizen has to pay tax, which is good, but for the economy to move and become more vibrant, I think this threshold of 32,000 maybe should be pushed up to 90 or 100,000. That will make every Kenyan who is earning money retain the money with him and obviously push it back to the economy. Lastly, the procurement. I have noted and observed that lots of things are over-exaggerated in procurement in the county and the national governments, and that is basically pilferage of taxpayers' money. The suggestion is that since Kenya is digital, why don't you put a ceiling of every item that has to be purchased? Example, if you are going to buy a wheelbarrow, it cannot go for $500,000. It should be somewhere 8,000-9,000. So if that is put as a ceiling, obviously the money will be controlled automatically. And the issue of trying to say reduce corruption stops auto.
Thank you.
Just last one. The issue of the police and the corruption issue which you mentioned, I have a suggestion. Because the fines are heavy, people opt to bribe and move on rather than pay the government. If the charges are reduced, say to 1,000, 2,000, people will obviously pay the government and then also improve. Because at the end of the day, if they were guilty, say, of overspeeding, why would they pay 10,000 to the government? They would rather bribe 3,000 or 5,000 to the police. So if we go reverse way, we rather have the fines to be made 2,000 or 3,000. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Jayesh. On power stability, I quite agree with you, but I want to give you some good news. We had a big problem of a facility we had in Muhoroni. I'm sure you are aware. It made power very expensive and very erratic in Kisumu. I want to tell you that we have now shut down that facility because we've gotten additional power from the grid that avoids the generation that was being done in Muhoroni. We will make it much more stable once we connect the line that we are working on. We are working on a procurement for the line that will connect you, Kisumu, to Olesos and connect you to power from Takwel, which is not only cheaper, but it's also consistent and reliable. So if you give us a few more months, we should be able to complete that transmission line and be able to stabilize the power in Kisumu and assist you to do the manufacturing and industrialization that you are doing. Banking interest rates, you're right. If government is paying 15, 16%, no bank is going to lend to a citizen, a farmer, an industrialist, or anybody. As you have seen, in the last meeting of our central bank, the interest rates are, the central bank has already given the signal. I think the last meeting of the central bank brought the interest rate by 0.5% down, and we want to consistently push it down so that we can achieve what you're saying. Because if we do not do that, then it becomes very difficult for people in the private sector to access credit for them to do the businesses that they want to do. You have a suggestion about pay as you earn, and you've said we should put it up from 32 to 90 or thereabout. I'm not sure that's the direction we want to go. You have a suggestion, but I think we need to interrogate how do we still raise the resources we are looking for. And, you know, our trajectory has been, let us broaden the base. Let us make more people pay so that we can reduce the rates. But, you know, if we continue making a few people pay, it becomes much more painful. It is better for us to broaden the base and lower the quantum so that everybody carries a piece of the tax burden. But again, I'm sure my team is listening here. They will look at the veracity and the applicability of your suggestion. On procurement, you are spot on. We are losing a lot of money because of procurement. And that is why I have made suggestion that we must have procurement moved to a digital platform. And everybody who wins a tender to do anything, we must display how much money, they have won a tender for how much money. because we are buying very simple things for sometimes up to 40-50% more money than is the case. So on procurement, we are going digital so that everybody knows what we are doing. On fines, there is a delicate balancing that we have to do. For example, if using the example you gave, that it is assuming 10,000 if you are overspeeding. So somebody says, instead of me paying 10,000, let me pay the policeman a fraction of it, maybe 2,000 or thereabout. But, you know, the fine was supposed to deter the person from overspeeding. If we reduce it from 10,000 to 3,000, then somebody will just keep on overspeeding, because if he's found, it is cheap, he can pay and move on. And then we end up with accidents, and we end up with a bigger problem. So it's a balance that we have to strike. But again, I think we just need to discipline ourselves as Kenyans. What is instead fine will. So we are working on instant fines. Parliament has let us down. Members of Parliament are here. If you can conclude the amendment to the law so that we can actualize the instant fines. If you are found by a policeman, between you paying the government of Kenya instantly and giving the money to the policeman, many people will choose to pay the government of Kenya. So when we do instant fines, I think we will go a long way in treating the problem, Jayesh, you have said. Let me take the last shot from this end. Yes, somebody should...
Okay, Mr. President, allow me ongea nikika chini.
Okay, we have a good gentleman.
Mi naitwa Champion Disability Anton Riako, na niko na swali, na swali yangu kuhusu person with disability. Kuna pesa serikali walitoa cash transfer kupeana person with disability. Na hii pesa tunapata, watu wanapewa 2,000 every per month. Na unapata mtu anatoka Chiga, anakuja kuchukua pesa KCB Bank, anatumia pikipiki. Akirudi na kuenda na kurudi, ametumia pengine 1,000 kwa sababu ametumia motorbike. Akirudi nyumbani amebaki na 1,000. Sasa tunapata kama hii pesa asaidia person with disability. Tuko na wengine wanapeleka watoto physiotherapy. Every week wanapelekwa mara 2. Na huko physiotherapy inalipwa pesa. Serikali wako na mpangilio gani kwa hao watoto wetu ama jamaa wetu wako na disability? Secondly, unapata wakati wa kuandikisha hao watu, kuna category inapewa pesa na category inawachwa nje. Sasa wale wamewachwa nje pia ni person with disability, wako na watoto, wanalipa nyumba, wanakola. Unapata mtu kama mimi nafukuzwa kwa nyumba kwa sababu sina kitu. Sasa hii pesa pia haitoshi kusomesha watoto, haitoshi kulipa nyumba. Serikali wameweka mkakati namna gani? Ya pili, ya tatu, tuko na sport naitwa paravoli. Mara nyingi tunapata kama tunaenda nje ya Kenya, tunateseka, haipati support mzuri. Kuna wakati upande wa kazi, person with disability mara nyingi hawaandiki kazi. Ukienda huko wanaangalia tu crutches, wanasema wewe hakuna kazi unaweza pata. Na serikali wako na pangilio gani? Na sisi pia tunalipa ushuru. Mtu asikudanganye mimi silipo ushuru, kwa sababu nikienda supermarket, vile wewe unanunua mkati shilingi 100, mimi pia nanunua hiyo mkati shilingi 100. Sasa upande wa kazi, kama mimi siwezi kuandikwa kazi, tafadhali mtu kama mimi, hii ball nimeweka kwako, unichukulie watoto wangu uniandikie kazi, ndio mimi nipate njia ya kukula. Pengine utasema mimi ni mzee. Mungu akubariki. Karibu Kisumu.
Asante sana Anthony. Kwanza Anthony, umeongea vizuri sana. Kweli wewe ni champion. Nimekusikiza vizuri. Wacha nikueleze mambo matatu. Wakati wa campaign nilisema hivi. Nilisema hiyo pesa ya cash transfer ambayo saa zingine ilikuwa inalipwa baada ya miezi 4, ilikuwa inalipwa saa zingine baada ya miezi 6. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Nilisema hiyo pesa, kwa sababu wale watu wako kwa cash transfer ni watu walemavu, wazee na orphans. Nikasema kabla mshahara ya rais haijalipwa ama ya any public servant, kwanza tulipe pesa ya watu wa cash transfer. Mimi nataka nikueleze ya kwamba sasa nikiongea na wewe, pesa ya cash transfer is paid at the same time na pesa yote ya wafanyikazi wengine wa serikali. Ile maneno ya kungojea miezi 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nilikomesha. That is number 1 and you can confirm. Jambo namba 2, umesema ya kwamba hii pesa, kwa sababu sio pesa nyingi, kama mtu anatoka sijui mahali gani mpaka akuje mpaka kutafuta KCB, nilisema ya kwamba sasa hiyo pesa tutakuwa tunalipa kwa M-Pesa. Wewe ukiwa nyumbani tunakutumia pesa yako, hakuna haja ya kupanda pikipiki. Sijui if the PS for citizen services is here, social service, social protection. Motari is not here. We've begun that process, and I think we've begun with orphans. I want to promise you, before the end of this year, huyo mtu ambaye anakuja kutafuta pesa yake hapa KCB, hata kuwa anakuja KCB. Tumekubaliana na Safaricom, tumekubaliana na KCB, na tumekubaliana na wale wengine wote ya kwamba hiyo pesa sasa tutakuwa tunalipa na M-Pesa. Wewe uko nyumbani, hakuna haja ya kupanda pikipiki, tutakuwekea kwa M-Pesa, wewe uendelee na safari yako huko nyumbani. Ya mwisho, umesema ya kwamba hiyo ya 3 umeniuliza ni ya kazi. Paravoli. Yes, umeniambia mambo ya sports. There was a very sad incident. Kulikuwa na incident moja ilikuwa ya aibu sana. Ni kweli wachezaji wetu wa kutoka ndugu zetu ambao wako na disability walikwama mahali fulani, and I took action to make sure that it doesn't happen again. I just want to give you an assurance that we will treat all our sportsmen and women equally. Kama vile tunachunga wale wanaenda kufanya kukimbia, kama vile tunachunga wale wanaenda kufanya sports, pia tumeambia wizara ambaye inahusika na mambo ya sports, our people with disability should not be treated differently because they are equally Kenyans and they are sports people like the rest. So that one incident was too many for us, and I want to give you my assurance that that will be the case. Watu wa disability wanalipa ushuru kama wengine. I agree with you. You buy stuff just the same way all of us buy. But we have given some exemptions. Tumetoa exemptions kwa watu wa kama ukitaka kununua some of the items, mambo hii crutches we supply free of charge. Mambo ya wheelchairs, we make sure that there are no taxes and we supply most of them free of charge. We have made sure that there are tax exemptions targeting people living with disability. And we will continue to make sure that we keep them in the loop and also attend to them. On the issue you have raised about children, huyo mjamaa ameketi na wewe hapo ni PS wangu wa trade, anaitwa Alfred Kombudo. Utazungumza na yeye alafu atanifikishia habari yako hiyo umesema. Na ni mtu wa kutoka Kisumu Dala, huyo mtu ambaye anaitwa Alfred, yeye ndio PS wangu wa trade. Ananisaidia kwa mambo ya biashara. Nafikiri kwa sababu ya nafasi yangu ya masaa, na mnajua kesho mimi nitakuwa Siaya, na mimi nataka niwashukuru watu wa Kisumu Dala. Nimefurahi sana kufika hapa. Asanteni sana kwa kunikaribisha. Mimi vile tumekubaliana hapa, siasa ambayo tutacheza ni siasa ya kuunganisha Wakenya wote, na sisi wote vile tumeongea hapa, tumeongea mambo ambayo yanatuhusu kama Wakenya, kama ni ya disability, kama ni ya food security, kama ni ya taxes, kama ni ya how to move the country forward. We've all talked as the people of Kenya because we are in one country, we have a common destiny, and our unity is going to determine how we move forward as a country. Asanteni sana watu wa Kisumu kwa kuja katika hii town hall. Na nimefurahi sana to answer your questions directly. Kama sija kujibu na ujaridhika sana, I will have another opportunity. You can again give me another chance to answer your questions. Otherwise, asanteni sana. Nyasaye okwedhu. Mungu awabariki sana. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we stand up and give His Excellency a round of a hearty, warm clap? Thank you. Thank you, Your Excellency, for taking your time and being so gracious and kind with your time to answer questions from residents of the Lake region. I kindly request to remain standing as His Excellency will leave at his own pleasure. But thank you very much for your patience, your time,